Guys, today you're gonna get a lot more when you normally bargain for today's unboxing because I have a special guest that's gonna do it with me today. Sir, would you mind joining me, sir?
I was just grabbing my water, mate.
Welcome everybody, Nico, to the unboxing. Stay tuned, YouTube. I have a privilege of having a very special guest for the unboxing today, but the main key points today are going to be comparing the markets across the pond versus United States. Also, I do feel that your markets is still slightly higher when it comes to price due to fluctuations of currencies as well, right?
There was a period about 2-3 months ago where it was actually more beneficial for a lot of people to buy, definitely from America, to buy in the UK because the pound sterling was very weak. I think that's now all being squared up relatively all right.
I think we're at a point where it's actually very comfortable for both parties. So first we have a
empty box. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗬𝗍𝗂𝗕 𝗕𝗏 and I really like it. What is this? Roman, this is actually unacceptable. And that's empty.
Okay, so who stuck these empty, you know what? Now we're going on to...
Hey, this is the new Explorer, new generation. You know what? I think we sold 1 or 2 of those. When that watch was introduced, I thought it was such a big disappointment and a missed opportunity. They could have done so much more with the anniversary of the Explorer.
What would you have done?
I would have gone more towards the original Explorer.
Yeah, the only thing I would have done is I would have slapped the ceramic bezel on it. 41mm Datejust Jubilee. Oh, look, Adrian is here.
How you doing?
I'm going to talk about popularity of 41mm. Adrian, you want to join us already? I actually need you because we're talking market price UK versus market price US. So 41mm Jubilee Datejust reference
126334.
Market price here.
Brand new market price is around 13,000.
What about you?
10.5, 11.
Hot take, I like the older Daytona than the new ceramic one. Adrian.
I prefer the ceramic. Sorry.
White or black dial?
Black.
White. Me too. Me too. Most people prefer the white dial. Even
he has the white one. I prefer the black. Never understood why the white one was more expensive though.
Because it has the whole panda look where the black on black tends to get lost. Nice. What market price on these here?
16520. So it's something at night that I don't know what year
this is 15, 16, no?
It is a...
All right, so basically a Scrambles here 2014 market price is around $19,000, $20,000.
What about UK?
About 20 sterling.
This is probably one of Nico's favorite Pateks. He also owns one because he's actually wearing one.
5231, and yes, I've been wearing this for the last couple of days. Even the time is set properly.
Wow, and the time zones,
everything's correct. Look, New York on the top.
Adrian, so this watch...
New York Giants, right?
Unfortunately, in...
All right, that's
Philadelphia Eagles.
Scheidehawks.
Football, like real
football. Not Eagles are Scheidehawks.
You know there's going to be about 1,000 people out the door that's going to be ready to murder.
I can have you, son.
5231J, closing that dial, world time. A complication that's often misunderstood and very, very underrated, alongside with the cloisonné dial because of the amount of work that goes into one of these, the craftsmanship and everything else about it. Like yet a watch that's now discontinued, right?
There's one lady that actually makes this, but she's training up people to being able to make that dial. The only thing is she's getting blind, so it's going to be a bit of a trouble. But what an incredible dial, 5231J. You rarely see that. And in the box, I don't know if that's, you of course have a full set and everything. There's a certificate of handcrafted or rare timepiece. Not many Pateks get that, actually, that certificate with it, but it's insane. And like a technique that was used way before we were able to count time.
Listen, if you look at some of the auction records for enamel dials, they're all held by Pateks. If you think about it, right?
Yeah.
And I significantly prefer the 5231 to the 5131. I
yes.
want the font just way more.
I like the fact it doesn't have crown cards. It makes it a so much more elegant watch.
As of late,
that's a rare bird.
And specifically, I go after Langes that are on the bracelet because they made so very few. And this bracelet was very expensive to make. They didn't make it in-house. Customers did not want to pay the extra premium for the bracelet because it added like $40,000 to $50,000 to the retail price of the watch. A Langematic from Lange, white gold on a bracelet. I dare anybody to go out there and find me one more that's actually available. You know, we talked about Langes in the past, and I told you I feel like the market is upshifting on these, and it has. It's seen at least a 30-40% uptick in the last couple of years, not due to the hot market, because collectors are understanding that now that Lange cut production, and they're trying to make Lange sort of that next FP Journe or Royal Oak or Richard Milles from the Richemont Group. That's really the brand they decided to go with, and I'm glad they did because I feel like that's their top brand. Well, Pride and Pin is not bought by the rich man yet. When it does, it obviously will be their top brand. You probably saw this in Adrian's office.
No, I didn't.
So
Did I? Was I in your office?
This is what we call the Daytona, which is basically, it is basically a Daytona.
That's the only brand, that's the only watch that is allowed to copy Rolex.
I mean, considering that this used to have that movement for the longest
It's
time.
actually very compatible aesthetically. It is not that much off, and I think it's actually has a little bit more character, I would say.
It does. The sub-dials do.
You know
add
what
more
a big
characters.
advantage is of the Zenith?
Steven, you're watching.
It actually has a date.
Oh yeah, that's
Can we not forget that? It actually has a date function.
1 second, I'm just gonna. Yeah, right there. There's a date. Trey's close to retail here.
Yep.
You know, it's not every Zenith you get out there. For the most part, you'll get a pretty decent.
But this
discount.
this shows how powerful that crown is, right? That crown on the dial, that name Rolex, like it's just bizarre.
But that's why they're number one and number two is
exactly.
way down there somewhere. It's like I think the difference between Rolex being at number one is the difference you and Steve.
I like
had,
touching you.
But here.
Take me to dinner first.
I can immediately recognize this box because this is a limited edition. So the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak limited edition Alinghi. Alinghi was a sponsorship that Audemars Piguet picked up early on. The first watch they came out was in the Royal Oak line. It was called the City of Sales. They did it in stainless steel, they did it in rose gold, they did it in platinum. 50, 500, and 1,000. And then they followed up with an offshore because at the time this came out, offshores were all the craze. Nobody cared about Royal Oaks. Everybody wanted the offshore. It was the big watch craze. And they came out with the Alinghi. And it didn't really take off as well initially. And we started talking about like the curse of the Alinghi, right? Anything that had an Alinghi on it, this wasn't really selling well. What I loved about this is
That box.
the box.
You turn that
box
thing.
is absolutely amazing.
Jealous.
Why does this Alinghi come with a Rolex and a Cartier nail bracelet?
Old sub.
Do those sell well for you? Do you
These-
find a lot of people looking for that as
No.
an alternative to save money?
Yeah.
People don't want to spend the money on the newer stuff and they want to stay. What's the market on this one, Adrian?
In a condition like this is going to run. I'm not even know how much it's going to sell. It could sell for around $8,500 to $9,000.
Yeah, so sub $10,000.
Absolutely agree. Great buy.
I think when people ask me about older subs,
1,000.
8,000, right? So that's the one I always gravitate people towards if they want to put in older subs.
Oh, absolutely. It was only 1 year, 1987. You
It's
know.
like they made it for like 9 months, I think. It was a flop.
1987, my birth year. What a watch that was. No
Yeah.
difference with the 800, but because it was 1987, I thought it was pretty cool.
Jaeger, LeCoultre,
Love that.
Polaris, Chrono.
Love it.
That's all you have to say is love.
Yes.
Well,
we had a newer version of it, Navy SEALs. I actually crashed my jet ski with that watch. Watch was lost in the water, and with about 11 boys, it took us 2 hours to find it.
in here we have an Audemars Piguet Millenary, white gold Millenary. A little bit of trivia for you. Do you know why a lot of these watches haven't survived in the last probably 3, 4, 5 years?
What do you mean? They're broken?
Okay, we're gonna go back to a very hot topic of the fight between you and Trax about chandeliers. Remember those?
Yeah.
The watches that are like all fake case and all fake.
Yeah.
So this
Right.
was the watch that suffered the fate of taking the case apart, literally melting it down from gold because it's white gold. They would take the movement out and they would make the chandelier Royal Oaks because they would make the case, the everything, but they would use around $32,000, $34,000 brand new, and today you can pick them up in the mid-teens. But at the time they were busting them down, people were paying upwards of $25,000, $30,000 for these just to get them, just to get the movement. We will not be breaking this watch. We will not be busting it down, unless you want to take that over to Trax NYC and maybe do a little project.
I don't want to go to Trax NYC, to be honest.
I know how much you love them. Oh, this to me, and I say I will go out on a limb and say
This is how you can see that Zenith and Hublot are owned by the same fucking conglomerate.
you don't
the same
you don't like
company.
this watch?
It's the Hublot clasp.
Okay, but it's a Zenith watch. It's a skeleton. It's a beautiful
Yeah,
watch.
have you seen
this watch in white ceramic?
Yes, I have seen it, and I've also seen the 1/10 of a second chronograph. It's insane. But I'm just saying, the clasp, the strap, that's Hublot. You can just recognize.
But let me ask you a question: if you owned Hublot and Zenith,
No, 100%. I
would you not
understand,
do the
but
same thing. I mean,
but can I
it's
just
still branded Zenith? And
yeah? But the chronograph version of this, the 1/10 of a second, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's cool.
I mean, for the money that this is, under $10,000,
There's nothing that can
what are you
compete
gonna
against
get?
that.
There's nothing you can
Nothing.
Very tough too.
Marcus is on.
Marcus, my Marcus?
Yes.
Say hello.
Marcus, hello son, let her have it. Give me some shoes, will you? I bought shit shoes. What do you think of my shoe? It says Slam Jam. I don't know what Slam Jam is.
I think this.
What is slam jam? Does anyone know what slam jam
Wave
is?
that in front of my nose.
There's nothing wrong with it, son.
Breguet, the godfather of all watchmaking. One of the things I love about Breguet, besides the
I
fact,
like the way he said it. Say Breguet.
Breguet.
one of the things I like about Breguet, outside of the fact that obviously he invented the 𝗕𝗫𝗍𝗬 godfather of all watchmaking, I love his perpetual counts, I love all this kind of stuff, but the lady stuff that he makes, he knocks it out of the park. So this is Reine de Naples, or Queen of Naples. A bit of the higher line. It's not just, you know, the plain one that they make with a diamond bezel.
How did you even find this?
Because I look for stuff like this. This is a work of art. The Breguet Queen of Naples is the #1 watch that men tend to want to source for their significant others because they get infatuated with the fact that it's a mechanical watch. It's not your usual quartz watch, right? And
actually an automatic watch.
That it's made by Breguet.
How much is this?
About 75,000.
Ah, you know.
What he said. Oh, another Rolex.
No, this one.
Oh, do you know what this is?
It's Piaget.
Yeah, which one?
You tell me.
It's the old Piaget 𝗕𝗨𝗬 chronograph. This is probably circa early 80s to mid 90s.
You know, this is actually the first time I've ever seen this.
Well,
you rarely see that.
Because this is actually pretty old.
Yeah, I know it's pretty old, but I mean, it's actually decent size for an older watch, for an 80s watch.
Yeah.
It's a fucking unbelievable size.
This is probably early 90s, mid 90s. It's value, right? Where do you go to under 10,000, around 10,000 for a gold watch from a solid name like Piaget has been around forever, a chronograph on top of that, and an automatic?
Exactly.
I'll show you something you don't see every unboxes. What are your thoughts? We've discussed we discussed this. We discussed the 𝗕𝗄𝗯𝗓 sports line from 𝗕𝗄𝗯𝗓 and the aluminum pieces. What is your take on them?
My honest take.
Yeah.
Do you really want that?
Well, that's what we get with Nico. It's always an honest take.
Right. I think 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝗏 Journe is one of the best modern watchmakers, or at least watchmakers that's still alive, right? But I also think it's been massively overhyped across the last 2 years. What they've done with the 100th of a second chronograph is unheard of with a 6 beat a second movement. That's insane. No other watchmaker has solved that problem as good as 𝗕𝗏𝗏 Journe. Yeah, and after Watchbox and 𝗕𝗏𝗏 buying every bloody Journe under the sun, I didn't think that the market was fair. There was also a titanium version of that.
This is aluminum. So one of the things that me and Adrian came up with, basically actually agreed on this 100%, is the fact that they're trying to bring in a different crowd, because once you have a Journe, and then you have 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, how many more does one want when they're seemingly kind of aesthetically are all the same? But most collectors are gonna be like, okay, I have enough Journes.
Yeah.
And that's when you lose them. So what is your thought on the sports line specifically?
From FB Journe or?
No, from this particular watch.
This is taste, and you know at the Streamliner, right? For example, H Motor. People are raving about that. And this is just taste. I am not there with I don't feel the Streamliner very much. I think this is an incredible watch in any way, shape or form, but it's just not to my personal taste.
You would rather have the traditional?
Yes, I would rather go traditional route.
On YouTube with Paul yesterday, I was talking about, you know, things picking up in the market. Now, one of the things that I think it was Alex, he posted on his Instagram saying, hey, I see an uptick in the market. I ran out there and said, what are you doing posting the stuff? What's the uptick in the market? Why? Are you just posting dumb shit, or are you actually some sustenance behind it? He goes, well, listen, and this is what he told me, and it stuck with me. He said, the watches I was sourcing, not the stuff that we have. He said, I am selling at the prices today. I'm sorry, I'm being quoted prices today.
That you sold it out last week.
That I sold the last 2 weeks. That shows an uptick. And we're going to be keeping an eye on it. What's going on in the UK with that?
Yes, I do see that our margins becoming a little bit slimmer because we're still trying to sell at that same price. Although the prices are growing, the retail price, and this is what I really want to achieve, right? Is that the retail price comes closer to the gray market price, right? I really, really want that. For the simple reason that we can then actually, the customer has a reason to come to us, right? Instead of there's a difference of 10K, I can genuinely fight and win a battle if a watch is, say, 7 till 12% more than an off-price dealer. Then we will sell more watches because of the quality and the service that we deliver. The Submariner at the retail price.
There's two sides. So I hear what you're saying, but there's two sides of that coin, because if that ever were to happen, where a Submariner gets back down to retail, you're not going to see the same demand. Period.
Unless. No, I would actually argue, I know what you mean, but if it's a on point retail and not $100 down, the demand will stay the same.
there's a market price. It is irrelevant what that market price is to its MSRP, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
The value is in the product that you deliver at a fair price based on current market conditions. And I think personally, how about this? 5 years ago, I would tell you a retail price off the top of my head on any Rolex, any Nautilus, and any Rolex. Today, I don't even remember them because they're irrelevant.
They are irrelevant, but what I want a share. I want a piece of the action of an authorized dealer. Unfortunately, we don't have that, but I want a piece of that because I know that we can add a lot of value towards those clients. So and my goal is hopefully one day.
So in a perfect world, right? If there was as many Rolex Submariners as there were people that really want them.
Yeah.
That's a fair assessment. The bottom line is, if he walks into Rolex to get a Submariner today, your point of sale has a finite amount of allocation of them per year, right?
Yes.
Because they're going to give them to their customers that have
Of course.
money with them.
Of course. But I'm looking at an ideal world, which is not realistic.
Right. Okay.
Right? But I'm looking at an ideal world. If I can push a button today, I wish that the market price and the MSRP is equal. So then I can actually win a lot more business than I do today.
You missed out on our whole entire careers.
I want to finish off with, so Adrian
Vintage.
So Adrian has, this is a full set, look at the box. Adrian has this, calls a Richard Mille RM 1103 all gold, he calls it the gold medal. I also like to identify gold medals across other brands. To me, for example, in the AP world, the gold medal is the Royal Oak Chrono 41mm, the old one with the black dial, I call it the gold medal. When it comes to Rolex, as much as people want to talk about
Blue sub.
I think it's the OG blue sub, to me, that's just the ultimate gold medal from Rolex.
16618.
And I think aesthetically, this blows the new one out of the water.
Very, very sharp. You see that?
Woo, child.
So something like that around here is going to fetch around that $30,000 price range for a full
Beautiful.
set. Do you see demand? The demand on that should be less in the UK because people get their hands cut off.
No, it doesn't. Listen, you get your hands cut off if you wear a Casio. In the UK, not to be fair, that's understandable because it's God tier, but you know what I mean. Like,
I guess we can conclude, because there's a lot more Rolexes in here, it's more of the same that you guys have seen on a daily basis. But the conclusion is that most Rolex in the UK versus the US, the price levels are more or less the same.
Equal.
More or less
except
equal.
Daytona.
So I have a few that you can buy.
Fair enough, fair enough.
I want to thank Instagram and TikTok for tuning in. Pride and Pinion and Nico fans, thank you guys for tuning in. YouTube, like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. I don't know if we'll have this gentleman on the next one, but he does tend to make his way down to our office often. Must be my charming good looks.
When I take the wrong exit, I end up in Philadelphia. I don't know how, but I mean.
We'll see you on the next one.